Dragons in the medieval imagination. The dragon was more than a beast. It was an idea, a shadow stitched across the fabric of the Middle Ages, part monster, part metaphor. To speak of dragons in medieval Europe was not simply to whisper of scales and fire, but of sin and salvation, of knights and saints, of terror and triumph. And yet, no man in those days had ever seen one. The peasants plowing their fields, the monks bending over their illuminated manuscripts, the knights sharpening swords before battle. None had looked a dragon in the eye. But they had seen them, oh yes, in their minds, in the pages of holy texts, in the stained glass that caught the sun through cathedral windows. To the medieval imagination, dragons were as real as hunger and hope, the roots of fire. To understand the dragon of the Middle Ages, one must first descend into older worlds. From the serpents of Babylon to the great Typhon of Greek lore, the West inherited its monsters in coils and wings. Scripture, too, lent its weight. The book of Revelation spoke of the great red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns, a beast cast down from heaven itself. To medieval Christians, the dragon was not merely a fable, it was Satan given shape. Yet there was more. The Norse had their serpents, Jormungandr, the world-encircling snake. The Celts spoke of Wyrms guarding hidden treasures. Even in faraway lands, tales arrived by caravan. Chinese dragons that were wise and noble, not wicked, creatures of storm and rain. These mingled and warped in the minds of medieval chroniclers until the dragon became a creature of many faces, drawn again and again on parchment, carved on cathedral stone, sung of by minstrels in smoky halls. The dragon was always there, waiting in the imagination's dark, the saint and the serpent. But it is in the lives of saints that the medieval dragon found its most enduring shape. The story of St. George and the dragon spread like wildfire through Christendom. The tale was simple, but its power lay in its simplicity. There was a town plagued by a dragon. To appease it, the townsfolk fed it sheep, then oxen, then, when livestock ran dry, their children. At last, the king's daughter was chosen, dressed in bridal finery, and led weeping to the lair. But as the monster approached, St. George, a Christian knight, appeared. He charged the beast, pierced it with his lance, and, with the sign of the cross, subdued it. The princess was saved, the dragon slain, and the people converted to the faith. For peasants hearing this tale by the fire, the meaning was plain. The dragon was sin, paganism, evil, and George, with his cross-tipped spear, was Christ's champion. Cathedrals painted this triumph in colored glass, showing dragons writhing at the feet of the saint. Knights sought to model themselves after George, imagining their enemies as serpents to be slain. Even peasants found comfort in the tale. If a dragon could be beaten, then so too could famine, plague, and war. The dragon was the adversary every soul knew, whether in dreams or in daily life. Dragons on the map. But dragons were not confined to saints' lives. They bled into geography, shaping how the medieval world imagined its edges. In the libraries of monasteries lay maps, the mappamundi, vast circular visions of the earth. Jerusalem sat at the center, paradise above, and at the edges monsters. Among them dragons. In the unexplored corners, cartographers inked them in, coiling serpents with jaws wide enough to swallow ships. Their presence was a warning. Beyond here lies chaos. Beyond here, the known dissolves into nightmare. Travelers' tales fed this imagery. Marco Polo spoke of serpents in India, longer than 10 paces, with jaws wide as barrels. Sailors whispered of sea dragons that rose from stormy waters, dragging ships beneath. And so monks and scribes painted dragons along the margins of their books, curling like questions without answers. Dragons were the borderlands of knowledge. Where the known ended, they began. The dragon as treasure keeper. In other tales, dragons were not only destroyers but guardians. They crouched upon golden hoards, treasures buried deep within mountains or beneath ruined castles. Their wings wrapped around chests of coins. Their eyes burned like torches in the dark. To steal from a dragon was to test fate itself. This image drew from older Germanic legend. Most famously, the dragon Fafnir, once a man, who through greed became a beast and hoarded gold until a hero's sword found his heart. Beowulf, too, met his end facing a treasure-hoarding dragon. Its breath fire, its vengeance swift. To the medieval mind, the lesson was clear. Greed transforms man into monster. Wealth corrupts, turns blood to venom, until a human soul becomes draconic. And yet, the hope lingered. Perhaps a brave knight might slay the beast and claim the treasure, if only he had the courage. Thus the dragon was not merely evil. It was temptation itself, the sin of avarice given wings. The wyrm at the edge of sleep. Dragons also haunted dreams. Medieval dream books, which claimed to interpret visions of sleep, told readers that to see a dragon was to glimpse a mighty enemy or an oncoming disaster. The beast slithering into your slumber was no accident. It was a warning, perhaps even a prophecy. And people believed, for the world itself seemed filled with dragons. Famine that devoured fields, plague that emptied villages, war that left blackened bones across the land. Life in the Middle Ages was short, uncertain, and often cruel. The dragon was simply the shape men gave to that uncertainty, the teeth and claws they imagined upon the chaos already around them, the fire within. But the most enduring image, the one that blazed across centuries, was this: the dragon as fire breather. Its breath was flame, its roar a storm. To medieval minds, this fire was not mere invention. The natural world gave hints. Volcanoes belched smoke and molten stone. Strange gases seeped from earth and ignited. Whales spouted water as though the sea itself breathed. Why should there not be creatures that breathed fire? Was it stranger than angels with flaming swords? And the fire was metaphor too, for what was lust, anger, sin itself, but fire consuming the soul. The dragon's breath was the blaze of hell, searing, unstoppable, divine in its wrath. To fight a dragon was to fight fire itself. To conquer it was to conquer the very inferno. The beast in the bestiaries. Every monastery kept bestiaries, books of animals, real and imagined, each with a moral lesson. And there, among lions and eagles, sat the dragon. The dragon, wrote one, is the greatest of all serpents, and of all beasts upon the earth. It coils around elephants, it guards treasures, it strangles with its tail, and, most important, it is the image of Satan. For just as the devil seeks to devour the souls of men, so too does the dragon seek to devour all it touches. But the bestiary offered comfort too. And yet, it said, the dragon flees before the cross. For however mighty the beast, the smallest sign of Christ could undo it. Thus the dragon became a sermon in scales, a reminder scratched into parchment that no matter how strong the darkness, faith could drive it back.